Greetings, everyone, and welcome. October the 18th, 2025. And what we have witnessed now, in retrospect, is a huge slap in the face to the world. Vladimir Putin has got everything he wanted. He has received time to continue to wage war against Ukraine. He has received, to this point, no tomahawks coming to Ukraine, and he's going to get more glory on the global stage. So as the dust is settling after the meetings yesterday, after the phone call from Putin and the meeting with Zelensky, we are now getting clarity. And what's really important to understand is, why is the next summit going to be in Budapest with Viktor Orban there in Hungary? Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and we appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to do that. So you can see here on the thumbnail, Hungary equals Putin's play. No question about that. This is not driven by Trump. No question. It is driven by Vladimir Putin. And there are major reasons why. And of course, Donald Trump is going along with it. And I'm going to explain every bit of it to you. First of all, Russia in general, completely silent, as is their modus operandi. The only one that has made a statement is Dmitry Medvedev, and we'll have that for you as well. Now, why Budapest? First of all, it benefits Viktor Orban. He's in an election, his approval ratings are low, and he needs this boost in front of the Hungarian people on the global stage. Secondly, it benefits Trump. Orban is practically his only real European ally, and keeping Orban in power there in Hungary and positioning himself continuing as a global peacemaker serves Trump's interest. He does not want to share the spotlight of peacekeeper in Ukraine with someone like Erdogan. It's far better to stand alongside Orban. Thirdly, it benefits Putin, a gesture of goodwill toward Trump and Orban, a diplomatic bonus to Hungary. But it's not for free. In return, Orban may tighten his vetoes with the EU, for example, sanctions. And, ladies and gentlemen, you may or may not have known this, but there is a reason that the Hungarian Foreign Minister, Peter Szijjártó, just visited Moscow a couple of days ago. We're seeing all of this lay out. And I remind you, it was just days ago that Orban put out his statement, anti-Zelensky, anti-Ukraine, no EU, no NATO, no money, no military, nothing. That is where Orban stands. Why Budapest? Keeping Orban in power serves the interest of Russia and the United States much more than it serves the interest of Ukraine. Really a symbolic slap in the face to the European Union from Russia and Trump. They label Putin a war criminal, yet this war criminal will be flying right into the heart of Europe, Budapest, and they, EU, will not be able to do anything about it. Putin agreed to Budapest because of its anti-Ukraine and pro-Russian stance. The United States agreed to Budapest because, as Trump says, Orban is a great guy and a great leader. And by the way, guys, Zelensky, as we saw yesterday, was not even offered to give his opinion on the matter. Basically, Trump said, you're not invited. It's going to be bilateral, and we'll tell you what we talk about. Why Budapest? Well, Putin gets to demonstrate fearlessness and confidence. He'll be flying through NATO territory to a NATO country, looking out the window at NATO jets, not Russian jets. It's vitally important for his ego and his posturing back home in Moscow. It's going to make him look like King Putin. It will deepen the cracks in the so-called Western unity. Europeans are already uneasy about Trump's actions. His personal guarantee of Putin's safety amounts to a direct challenge to NATO, essentially saying, if you touch Putin's plane, then you will answer to me. And speaking of his plane, look at the route he will have to travel. This is what has been mapped out. He will cover 5,000 kilometers to go to Budapest for the summit with Trump. EU airspace remains closed to Russian planes, so the Russian president's plane will likely fly this route, and that's via Turkey, the Mediterranean Sea, Montenegro, and Serbia. And we already know that along this route, Russian and Turkish jets will escort Putin to eliminate threats from drones or missiles. I remind you, Turkish jets are NATO jets. You will have NATO jets guarding Putin's plane. Think about that for a moment. Orban, knowing that he needed to make a statement about this, has come out early this morning. His tweet, his message is right there. This is the same message that he spoke on television. I thought in this situation, it's better that I just have it scripted out for you, but this is what he said on the interview, and this is what he has written down. He asked the same question, and then he answered it, his opinion. He said, why Budapest? He said, since yesterday, many people around the world have been wondering and guessing why Hungary became the meeting place for the presidents of USA and Russia. The answer is simple. We are the only ones left in Europe on the path to peace. We have never lectured anyone. We have never closed channels. It is very difficult to convince anyone of anything if you do not talk to them. And most importantly, we have consistently and persistently supported the cause of peace for many years. Cooperation instead of confrontation. Mutual respect instead of stigmatization. This is the path to peace. Hungary today is the country in Europe where there is a serious chance that the American-Russian negotiations will ultimately lead to peace. Excuse me. Let me finish his statement. And where possibly even European aspects may prevail, Brussels has isolated itself, but we will continue the negotiations. Ladies and gentlemen, no reference to Ukraine, no reference to the nation that has been invaded, no reference to the tyrannical, dictatorial activities of Putin and Russia as a nation that is wiping Ukraine off the map, razing them to the ground. Every inch or centimeter they move, they are leveling it. But no, this is going to be a place where the American and Russian negotiations. Have you seen all of this analysis putting together for you in this short update? No mention of Ukraine. Completely off the table. Now, as I told you, Russia will stay silent. Putin will not respond for days. Lavrov will stay silent for days, but they will utilize people like Medvedev or maybe Lukashenko. So the chosen one for today, Medvedev. And here is what he said. He said during his meeting with the tearful beggar, and I am quoting this, guys, translated perfectly, Trump said something obvious yet interesting. Let Russia and Ukraine both declare themselves winners. That kind of compromise sometimes happens after wars, but not in this one. So Medvedev making a direct statement to Trump after Trump's tweet yesterday, hey, just forget it. Everybody go home, take your weapons home, go be with your families. Everybody wins. No, it doesn't work that way. And this is what Medvedev's saying. He says it's not just that Russia seeks victory on clearly defined terms. That's a given. The problem is that the current Banderite clique in Kyiv can never be seen as victorious at home under any circumstances. And I remind you, I am reading what he wrote. The drugged up ghoul and his cronies know this perfectly well. That's his reference to Zelensky and Yermak. Losing territory will never be forgiven, not by the rabid nationalist nor by political rivals. For them, the end of the war means the end of this regime. That's why Trump's formula doesn't apply here. So let me interpret this for you before we finish it up and close out. Russia already rejecting any of these peace talks, guys. There's not going to be a freezing of the line. Russia will continue to wage war. This is what they are doing. This is in their long-range plans now. They have flipped to a complete war economy, and they will continue in this route. Still, the self-proclaimed peacemaker played his tomahawk diplomacy card well, stirring global opinion in his usual style. He wrapped it up in classic fashion, hinting at the dispatch of nuclear submarines before jokingly admitting, sorry, brother, we need them ourselves. To his credit, Trump remains firm in his stance. It's not my war. The senile fool is to blame. Even the fool, however, was against sending long-range weapons to the Banderites. But this, of course, won't stop the ongoing flow of new arms to Kyiv. The story isn't over, and we must be ready for whatever comes next. If you are wondering how Russia will be thinking going into the meetings in Budapest, that is the preview of it. Do not think for one moment that Medvedev is over in some corner just writing out these things and they are not being utilized for the Kremlin narrative. They are. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're at. This is really even bigger stories than yesterday. I mean, it was not the best of days, to be quite honest. But now, 24 hours later, we can see how the chips are really being laid out on the table. So we'll stay updated with you. We'll keep you updated. I remind you, the big bomber jets have relocated to the west of Russia, which puts them into launch positions at any time. So we'll keep you updated, and it will be interesting to watch over this weekend. Be blessed.